Greenland is not merely the planet's most extensive island. It is a colossus frozen in time and a natural repository of data, in whose depths are hidden the riddles of the past and the outlines of the human race's future. On geographical maps, it appears as a snow-white titan, but in reality, it is an incredibly intricate and delicately balanced natural system, acting as a key climatic thermostat for the Earth. Almost 80% of its territory is entombed beneath a colossal ice cover. This snowy behemoth, whose thickness in the heart of the island reaches 3,000 meters, seems steadfast and frozen, but such a perception is deceptive. Modern technological tools have allowed researchers to peer through kilometers of ice and discover that Greenland represents a kind of matryoshka. Inside this icy sepulchre is hidden a lost world. Magnificent canyons, mountain ranges, branched systems of subglacial streams, and primordial landscapes that have not seen sunlight for millions of years. The scale of the island truly amazes. Covering an area of almost 2.5 million square kilometers, it exceeds the area of France, Germany, and Spain combined. If one were to overlay the island's outlines onto a map of the United States, it would stretch from the borders of Texas to Canada itself. At the same time, the population density here is considered one of the lowest in the world. On these vast lands, only about 56,000 people reside. Life here is literally pressed against the very edge of the land. Almost all inhabitants are concentrated on a thin coastline, free from the icy shell, predominantly in the southwestern part. There, under the cover of mountain ranges and thanks to the softening effect of warm ocean currents, climatic conditions become relatively tolerable. The capital, Nuuk, the pulsating heart of the island, where a third of the entire population lives, approximately 17,000 people, acts as the political and cultural core, a tiny island of civilization on the border with the icy abyss. The interior regions of the island are a territory of absolute frost. It is a high-altitude icy desert, rising 3,000 meters above sea level. There are no permanent residents there, no roads, and winter colds drop to -50 degrees. It is a zone of total exclusion, subject only to winds and scientific expeditions. Snow masses here never melt, but accumulate for millennia, compressing under their own weight into ice, which slowly slides from the center to the edges, forming glaciers. But one only has to descend to the coast for the environment to transform radically. In the summer period, the fjords, carved by ancient glacial flows, dress in green. Grasses break through, polar flowers bloom, and dwarf trees reach upward. Such a contrast between the lifeless icy center and the flowering green ring of the coast is the main visual feature of Greenland. In historical perspective, the island lured Vikings, who christened it Greenland, the Greenland. Eric the Red, who found himself here in the 10th century, was not necessarily engaging in deception while seeking to attract new settlers. Paleoclimatologists confirm, in the era of the medieval climatic optimum, the shores indeed looked much greener than they do today. However, the true green biography of the island goes back to a much more distant past. The Greenland ice sheet is the most flawless chronicle of Earth's life. Each layer of fallen snow preserves fragments of the atmosphere of its era: volcanic ash, flower pollen, bubbles of prehistoric air, and even grains of cosmic dust. Extracting ice cores. Long cylinders of ice from a depth of several kilometers, scientists literally turn the pages of the past. Analysis of ancient DNA from the base of the ice massif brought sensational results. About 1 million years ago, before the onset of global ice ages, Greenland was covered in thick boreal forests. Here, where permafrost now reigns, mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, and colossal deer roamed. These facts clearly demonstrate that the planet's climate is an extremely unstable system. The ice cover did not exist here eternally. It appeared, disappeared, and grew again depending on global climatic cycles, and the realization of these rhythms is vital for predicting our future. A true revolution in the study of the island occurred thanks to progress in the field of ground-penetrating radars and satellite technologies. Flying over the snowfields, aircraft with radars were able to scan the sheet to the very bottom. The picture that opened to researchers forced a revision of geographical atlases. Beneath the smooth, icy crust, the Grand Canyon of Greenland was identified. It is a titanic gorge 750 kilometers long and up to 800 meters deep. In its dimensions, it exceeds the famous American Grand Canyon. This ancient river system once carried water from the central regions of the island to the world ocean and likely continues to function even now in the form of subglacial currents. Another mystery is the lakes hidden beneath the ice. Radar studies have discovered hundreds of reservoirs of liquid water trapped between bedrock and kilometers of ice. Immense pressure and the heat of the Earth's interior do not allow the water to turn into ice. These isolated niches may hide ancient forms of life that evolved in absolute darkness and autonomy for millions of years. For specialists in the field of astrobiology, this is an ideal training base. If life thrives there, it may well be found in the subglacial oceans of Europa, a moon of Jupiter, or Enceladus. No less striking was the discovery of impact craters. Beneath the Hiawatha Glacier, a crater 31 kilometers wide was found resulting from the impact of an iron meteorite. This is clear evidence of a catastrophic event that could radically reshape the Earth's climate in the relatively near past. Currently, Greenland is patient zero of global temperature changes. Over the last 3 decades, the rate of ice sheet melting has increased exponentially. Every year, the island loses approximately 250 to 300 billion tons of ice mass. This amount of water would be enough to fill millions of Olympic-standard swimming pools. The melting process itself is much more complex than just a reaction to warmed air. Meltwaters form bright turquoise lakes on the icy surface and then rush with a roar into cracks and vertical shafts, moulins, reaching the very base. There, the water plays the role of a lubricant, accelerating the drift of glaciers toward the ocean. The results of this process have a planetary scale. Since 1993, the ocean level has risen by more than 1.5 centimeters solely due to Greenland's ice. In the event of the total degradation of the Greenland ice sheet, a scenario that scientists call catastrophic, the sea level will jump by 7 meters. This will result in the disappearance of entire island nations and the flooding of major megapolises from London to Shanghai. Thus, Greenland effectively holds the climatic stability of the entire world hostage. However, as the ice disappears, it reveals not only relict landscapes, but also inexhaustible treasures. Greenland is turning into a new platform for geopolitical maneuvers. Beneath its rocky formations lie colossal deposits of rare earth elements, uranium, gold, diamonds, and oil. The irony of fate is that these metals, for example neodymium and dysprosium, are vital for the development of clean energy, the creation of wind turbines and electric cars. For the sake of saving the planet from overheating, humanity may have to resort to the destruction of pristine Arctic nature. The attention of all leading powers is fixed on the region. The USA, China, Russia, and the European Union realize the strategic weight of the island. In 2019, the initiative of the American president to acquire Greenland caused a wide resonance, but it only highlighted the harsh truth. The Arctic is becoming an epicenter of interests. Thule Air Base in the north already serves as a vital military outpost for NATO, controlling the polar frontiers. Against the backdrop of these natural and economic perturbations, the national consciousness of the residents is also transforming. Now, it is a self-governing territory within the Danish kingdom, but calls for attaining full sovereignty are sounding ever more clearly. The logic of proponents of independence is simple. Rich natural resources are capable of forming an economic foundation for a separate state. However, the path to freedom is full of obstacles. It poses complex tasks for 56,000 citizens. How to manage such a huge land without the financial support of Denmark? To whom to grant the right to develop the subsoil? Western giants or investors from China? And how to reconcile industrial extraction with the protection of the fragile ecosystem that forms the basis of Inuit culture? Researchers highlight several probable paths of development. The first, resource sovereignty. The transformation of Greenland into the mining heart of the Arctic at the cost of partial destruction of the environment for the sake of political will. The second, sustainable autonomy. Maintaining a partnership with Denmark in parallel with the development of ecotourism and thoughtful development of wealth. Whichever vector is chosen, one thing is clear. Greenland has ceased to be the edge of the inhabited world. Now it is its center. It is a living laboratory where the climatic fate of the planet is being decided, and a testing ground on which humanity's ability to find a balance between the thirst for profit and the need to save its home is being tested. The future of this icy giant represents, in essence, a rehearsal for the future of our entire civilization. Friends, share in the comments. What do you think about this story? If the video was interesting, please support us with a like and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.